And then after that level, what's the next?
And then after that level, so the LPGMs, of course, they work with the dealers usually. And they are the ones, sometimes individually, they own the refilling stations. So now it's an opportunity. If you want to set up a cylinder distribution outlet, we are using the old structures. In the old structure, if you wanted to set up a filling station, you have to come under an existing LPG marketing company, so that they would hold your hand through
the journey.
You know.
And so, brand it.
Yes, until you have acquired the seven or so, and the other requirements, and then you want to become Leslie Energy, then you can now also become an LPGMC. Okay. You want to use the same thing. So if you are interested now in having a distribution outlet, you have to
begin as a dealer, in a sense.
Approach an existing LPG marketing company, and then they would submit your details to NPA. If you have identified the site, you come and inspect the site. Okay. And once we are okay with the site, we give you the construction, go ahead to do construction. We give you the construction permit. Once you are done, then the LPGMC will supply you cylinders based on their agreement with the bottling plant.
Wait, the dealer or distributor, if you're working under some marketer, or even the marketers, you mentioned there are 4 bottling plants. That means that all the cylinders here will now, because you're giving them the responsibility of fire, they're responsible for anything that happens in the chain. That means you're branding the bottles, right? So, okay, so for the 4 you have, if I'm a marketer or distributor, I can have all the 4, or I can only sell one brand.
You can have
all
the 4.
Am I free to sell?
You can have all the 4.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
And it was a deficiency in the old system. I remember when you were describing it, you said something like that.
Yes, because if it's a shell, it's a shell. But now you can have the 4.
A marketer can have.
I can sell all of
the marketer can go to Goyle and say, Goyle, look, I want 50 of your cylinders. Can go to New Gas and say, New Gas, I want this quantity. Can go to Blue Ocean and say, I want this quantity. And negotiate and have different cylinders. It's just like those who sell water at the depot.
Okay. Is that basic now?
Exactly. They have Belapa, they have exactly a distributor. So we don't want to restrict. So it flows from there. So from there.
But what about the exchange?
Yeah, to the exchange point as well.
No, for the consumer.
Yes.
So if I'm using a Goyle cylinder.
Yes.
Okay. When I return it, because when I'm done with it, I need to return the bottle,
You need to return it, yes.
When I return the bottle, do I have to pick a Goyle one?
If you return it and you feel, oh, Goyle, their cylinder is orange, I don't like orange again, I want red. The only thing that ties you is that cylinder, that physical cylinder.
Yes.
Once you have returned it to the dealer, you can pick any other brand you want.
Because they're sold at the same price.
Exactly.
Right.
Sorry?
Are they sold at the same price?
They will not be sold at the same price.
They will not?
The regulation will still apply in pricing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, the competition.
Exactly, for the competition to thrive, So, but the thing that ties you is the cylinder. Once you return the cylinder, you can pick another cylinder of a different color.
So if I'm moving from blue and I'm going for red, am I paying a token? No. Do you pay anything to, because if I don't return the cylinder, what holds me, I mean, what motivates me to bring a cylinder back? Because I can end up with 4 of them in my home. I come and get a new one. Buy another one, buy my LPG. The cylinder is free. And then, just like how you have Coca-Cola and all those fizzy bottles, some people unpack it in their homes. But when you return it for another, that was the system we used to have in this country. Then, I mean, you pay lesser, all that. So, is there anything like that, or I can keep as many cylinders in my garage?
We are appealing to people not to keep as many cylinders. But let me just answer that. So I like that you mentioned Coca-Cola. In some places, this model is called the Coca-Cola model. And just like you mentioned Coca-Cola, if you go and you don't have a bottle, what do they ask you? They ask you to pay something small, or you leave your change behind. When you bring the bottle back, they'll give it back to you. And so, and in all the places we've gone to, that is what is being done.
Oh, for the CRM.
For the CRM. Although we've established the cylinders are for all of us, the bottling plants are just holding it in trust.
There should be something that makes me bring it back.
Exactly.
But to appeal to me.
So we are saying that when we start, you have a cylinder in your house. It has a value. You bring it. So for you that has a cylinder, you take your old cylinder, and that is what you have brought into the scheme. That is what will make you want to return a cylinder anytime you need gas. Because you bring one cylinder, we give you one cylinder. So there's a cylinder sitting in your house at every point in time. It's just like you having your old cylinder.
Oh, actually, I was going to ask about that.
Exactly.
The old cylinders.
Yes.
I can bring my cylinder.
You have to bring your cylinder when we start.
Okay.
When we start, you have to bring your old cylinder.
Before I can get
Before you can get a new one. If you
and
bring,
if I do not have an old cylinder, I'm a new LPG user.
If you do not have a cylinder at all, you are supposed to pay what we call a security deposit.
Okay. Yes, now you're talking.
That is what is supposed to let you bring the cylinder back.
Okay.
But again, we are conscious that the ability to pay for that security deposit in itself may be a barrier. So what we have negotiated and discussed and agreed with the LPG marketing companies and the dealers, and to an extent the bottling plants, because they'll be holding these cylinders in trust for us, is that once you are able to register a user or a consumer, you know, this is Adria Manu, she lives behind the police station. If she doesn't bring the cylinders back in maybe 6 months or a year or whatever, based on their consumption pattern, you can follow up to see where the cylinder is.
It's not easy. I told you my dad used to run a number of those stations.
Yes.
And it's one of the fights they would have.
Exactly.
Because some people don't return cylinders.
Exactly.
And they want it.
It is not easy.
It's a whole lot.
It is not easy.
Yeah, so you can't assume you know a German.
Oh, yes.
I think we need to find a way around that.
Yes, they are also installing trackers on the cylinders. Deploying technology.
Okay.
RFID tags and in some instances GPS trackers that allows them to.
That's nice. No, then my app developers can tick that also in their notebooks.
Yes.
That's another opportunity.
So the use of technology is another thing, you know. And so we are putting a range of measures to ensure that the cylinders return.
Okay, so I think over time we'll get it even better.
But for me, the reason why I said we are appealing to people is that when you're doing things like this, you have to also look at the behavioral change aspect, okay? Because you are changing from people owning cylinders now to people having cylinders, using them and bringing them back, not getting the same thing, picking another one. Even sizes. So when we start and you bring a 6 kg, okay, into the scheme, and you get registered, and that's one thing we've said, we are going to register you. Preferably, we want to take your Ghana card because it has most of the details.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't have a Ghana card, you bring something else, we take it.
Hey!
So what we are saying is, once you bring the 6 kg, if in the following month you're expecting guests, the big family is coming over.
I want
bigger one. You think you want the bigger one. So far as you bought a cylinder in the scheme, you don't need to top up or anything. Come and pay for the 14 kg gas, and then you take it and go and use.
Okay.
Okay. So for you that have a cylinder, that is it. But for the person that doesn't have a cylinder, like I said, he's supposed to pay a deposit. People will have to pay in certain instances. But in most instances, it will be given to you for free. I'm smiling at the thought of
Ghana card. If I don't have Ghana card, I can't cook.
Leslie, almost everybody has a Ghana card these days.
If I don't have Ghana card, I can't cook.
It's not just Ghana card. Any national ID is accepted.
You show your ID too.
Yes, any national ID is accepted. But, you know, I think we've come to a time where we have to accept some of these things because they actually are helping our economy. The fact that you can be identified opens a lot of opportunities.
No, it's great.
Yes. But we are not going to...
I just think that, you know, soften that corner.
Oh, yes.
You know.
No, so we've said any ID, nationally recognized ID, is acceptable.
Okay.
So once you take it there, you get registered and then you can have access. So that is how an old consumer or somebody using LPG already can join the scheme. And then for a new person also, you have to appear at the location. I'm sure, again, with competition, some may take the security deposit. Some may not take the security deposit. Some may take
that's up to whoever is running that chain.
Again, competition. We don't want to set some of these things so that
that's fine. But once that model has failed before, it means the regulator has a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Because we can't hit the brick wall and change again and say, let's, you know, so whatever the T's that need to be crossed, we need to do it.
Yes.
I have another question on the kind of cylinders. I use a fiberglass cylinder. What are you going to do with me?
That's a niche
market. Can I return it?
Yeah, you can return it. There are some service providers who have already procured some fiberglass cylinders for that niche market. Okay. So largely they will serve those who bring fiberglass cylinders. But of course, if you're a new consumer and you want to go for that luxury, of course the premium is going to be high. Your deposit.
Oh, that means that your bottling plants are filling fiberglass?
Yeah. Okay. Fiberglass as well.
So when I bring in a fiberglass, I can take a fiberglass.
You can take a fiberglass as well.
Okay. Okay. I think that also has good safety. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We all know the fiberglass or the composite cylinder implodes rather than explodes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, of course, there's a lot of benefits to it. But for us, I mean, in most economies we've been to, in India, for instance, where almost 97% of the people are using LPG, they first started with the steel cylinders, at least get people to use the product first. And then once you put enough regulations to check some of these things, then later you can now begin to transition to fiberglass or piping or other ways of distributing.
Let me ask about recycle.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as you said, like you prompted us about the expiry of cylinders and all that. What's the recycle plan for all this? Okay.
So as we start out, we have designated the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company.
They are functioning?
Yes. In fact, this is going to give them business.
Okay.
They've been quite dormant.
They've been quite dormant.
They've been quite dormant for some time now.
I thought that should be a big business for us.
Again, this is a strategy from our Chief Executive, the Honorable Dr. Mustafa Ahmed, and his able assistants in consultation with the Minister, that we designate the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company to do refurbishment. Okay, so what it means is all the cylinders that will come in, like your cylinder that you bring in, we take all of them to GCMC. The ones, they will assess all of these cylinders, the ones that are fit for purpose or the ones that we can use again, they will refurbish them, they will brand them, and then they will put them back into the scheme.
Oh, great.
The ones that cannot be used again, of course, they in partnership with the scrap dealers, the scrap yards,
that metal component for whatever
exactly, take it back to the steel factories for it to be, absorbed into the steel works. Great. So that is the plan we intend to implement going forward.
Very well, very well.
Yes.
No, this is exciting, and I think this conversation has been a great eye-opener because there's too much misinformation about the CRM.
Yes.
There's so much negative energy around it because of ignorance, you know. But, well, viewers, if you have questions, you can drop it right there, put a comment there. Obed is always available.
Yes.
We'll drag him right back to answer them because there's been a lot of pushback.
Yes.
And some of the concerns have been, I think they've been genuine.
Yes, they are.
So from all the responses he's given us today, it looks great. If you still have some, reservations or some issues with this, put your questions right there and then we'll get him. He's a regulator. He loves us. He has time for us.
Yes.
Yes, he'll come back. He'll answer them. Yes. He will be online as well, so he can answer some of them promptly. But if they need to send any questions, any queries on people who want business opportunities, people who are already in the chain and are confused, how can we reach the NPA? Is there any way on your site, or is there any direct line, hotline?
Yes. So, of course, our website, NPA, www.npa.gov.gh, you can find a lot of information there. You can find the numbers on which you can reach us also there as well. But I'll share them with your team so that if there is a page on which you can put them up. So that
maybe your social media handles as well.
And my personal, LinkedIn, profiles and all of that as well. You can always reach out to us and we will definitely respond. As we go about, we are even open to suggestions and not just questions.
Yeah.
If somebody has great ideas on how, for instance, we should, repurpose cylinders or something of that sort, any ideas, you can throw them at us and then we'll take them on to make sure that CRM actually becomes a success and a benefit to all of us.
I'd love us to have you again and go well into the implementation plan and see where we started from, where we've gotten to the successes, how it's going, because I think if we can be able to satisfy all angles of this can be a pretty beneficial model. Yes.
Leslie, let me just say this before I go. So I am very passionate about this because, like I said, I was part of the team that prepared the policy initially, and also moving to NPA, the idea was to assist in getting this come into reality. And I'm passionate about this because when the just recently passed Minister of Energy came into office, I told him, look, when it comes to electricity, we have about 87% access in the country. We are one of the top countries when it comes to electricity access.
Yeah.
But in terms of access to clean cooking, for LPG, we are hovering around, I think, at around 34% or so now. It used to be 25% a few years back. So our growth in terms of LPG and then, the use of clean fuel for cooking has been, nothing good to write home about. And so I am passionate about this because I want us to get to that stage where for clean cooking we would have transitioned to cleaner fuels, especially LPG, you know, looking at the health effects on our mothers, on our sisters, our daughters who cook and all of that. And so for me, I'm passionate about this from that angle, you know. Aside that, we are not saying even with CRM, accidents cannot happen. But when it happens, the devastating effect. For the accidents that happen at the refilling stations, because of the magnitude of the accidents or the explosions, it really affects a lot of homes and a lot of people. But as we've explained, if you have a cylinder sitting in the community, it poses basically no risk. And so by doing this, you would have taken most of those accidents from our communities, or the effect of those accidents when they happen in our communities. Recently, one happened in Sunyane, where a 10-bedroom house was basically razed down. And just imagine that. And so again, I'm passionate about this, such that it is going to, save lives and property also. And so I want to say we've started CRM. We announced last September that we've started. What we did from September till now was to give people the opportunity to put the cages up in the locations. And now there are a lot of the locations up and running. And
cages are being put up. Don't miss out on this.
Yes. And so
go and get an opportunity to run that business, right?
Yes. And so you can approach any LPG marketing company if you want to become first a dealer or own a cylinder distribution outlet, or a reseller. The reseller is the one further down in the community. The distribution outlet is the one which is bigger, where you can have, let's say, 500 to 1,000 cylinders. So for each of these, if you want to do such a business, you can locate any LPG marketing company.
So any corner shop can distribute it,
we have to come and inspect.
Reseller.
We have to come and inspect to see that the place is not prone to flooding, the place is not having some chinchinka seller by the side.
Fire to fire.
So we have to come and check for certain things. But yes, any area can qualify, And so for those who are ready, we have some of the LPG marketing companies have started putting some of the cages at their premises. I'm sure when you pass through town, you see some white fuel stations having cages in there already. All you need to do now is to take your old cylinder, go to that venue, and then they'll register you and give you a branded cylinder to go and use. And I can assure you that you would love using gas under the cylinder recirculation model. You get the right quantity. Let me put in this. People ask questions. How can I know I have the right quantity of gas in the cylinder? Have you ever questioned the quantity of Coke in the bottle? No,
because we assume it's standard. It's coming from the...
Exactly. In the same way, the bottling plant has meters that are calibrated by the Ghana Standards Authority.
That's true.
And so they dispense the right quantity into the cylinders. We NPA check before it leaves the bottling plant. And as I mentioned, there's a rubber on top that shows that it has not been compromised.
The seal.
Yes. Once you get to the exchange point, you have the right to ask to be placed on a scale for you to actually check whether the weight of the cylinder is up to what you're buying. So you can be guaranteed that you get value for money, you get a cylinder that's safe to use, and you can use LPG conveniently without having to worry about shortages.
Thank you. This CRM there, they'll say, No, it sounds good. It really sounds good. But we will have you back.
All right.
And then we're going to analyze the journey. And see how this has really given us the positive effects that you're preaching about. And I think we'd love to have the players in the market too, and ask what the experience has been.
That would be great.
And yes, and answer all the question marks on the corner. But for now, we'll say a very big thank you to you, Obed. This conversation has been good. It's been most valuable. But, well, like I said before, there will be questions. So please put out your questions in the comment section, and then we'll get answers to. Energy Quest Foundation is a big transition advocate. So once you have something positive for us that saves on the environment and a plus on sustainability, and I like that one in your jacket.
Oh, yes.
It tells what you represent on the SDGs. So good one there.
The SDG 7, which is energy, accessibility for energy. For all, energy for all. Yes, that's what we're doing.
A thumbs up to that.
All right.
So, viewers, This is what we do on Energy Quest. We demystify the energy sector and add value. So, till we meet again, ciao.